Good morning, Biz Girlfriends. How are you? I am Karen Ray. I'm the founder of Fave Lifestyles, a fabulous community, and you just have to come and experience the Fave community, the Fave ladies, the abundance that happens here. But I am so thrilled today because Sandy Stamato is coming and chatting with us in our Biz Girlfriend chats. And Sandy, tell the ladies just a little bit about you.
Oh, absolutely. Other than work, I'm a native Seattleite. I'm a third generation Seattleite, which is pretty rare. So it's pretty much in my DNA these days.
Yeah.
And the long and the short of it is, I am so blessed today. I'm in such a good space, and I have an amazing husband and a community, and I've got a squad, my girl squad. Never had that before with around business. So yeah, do you want me to tell you a little bit about what I do?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Let's tell the ladies too about what you do and why we're here today, and then we'll
Right.
we'll go on and have our conversation around that.
Absolutely. So I am a sales mental fitness coach, which is I started calling it actually sales freedom coach,
Yeah,
positive intelligence sales freedom coach.
yeah.
And I work with female entrepreneurs. And, it's so funny. I used to say this, but I transform their mindset around sales. But
Mm.
actually, it's more than that. It just changes their mind about sales, because sales, I say sales to anyone and their eyes start twitching. That's been my experience since, and I was a sales trainer, a corporate sales trainer. I've worked privately with, entrepreneurs, small teams, and I'm a coach now. And working with entrepreneurs, it's really fascinating, sometimes heartbreaking, to be honest.
Mm.
And there's just such possibility. And if I may, I've worked with the most amazing women. They got it all. They got the goods. They have the service, they have the product, they have, the abundant mindset, they have gifts to bring to the world. And I know you and, Karen, you and I have talked about this frequently, about how that idea of sales, which is really, in my world, is like, I'm doing this. Would you like to join me? If not, I can send you off to someone else. That type of mindset is how businesses can stay businesses, because if people aren't able to sell.
Yes. So, Sandy, this is
Mhm,
obviously a big topic of conversation for a lot of women entrepreneurs. Like you said,
mhm.
they have the services or the products, they have the experience, the training. It's that sales piece that sometimes just mixes it up for us. And we're just like, oh, but so I see the extreme. I see you super salesy, you got to follow this, these little programs or whatever, which isn't them and it doesn't work, or it's totally the opposite. Oh, you just have to have this, build a relationship, blah, blah. So it's like at these two extremes, where does it, and I feel like when people come and work with you, that it brings you literally to a different space. It's like, let's just, those things that you've learned, let's just set those aside, because you actually come from it from such a different angle of a positive mindset to establish that first, and then working on the pieces after that. And you use the words freedom, ease, all these different things, and it's such a beautiful space to be in. It's like it's light. I call it light and breezy.
I
So
know, I love that. And I just step in a little bit. Mindset's a funny word.
mhm.
People talk about, I gotta adjust my mind, I gotta do this. The work I do is neurological. It's about creating new brain pathways, neural pathways, because I've been doing this work for 37 years almost. And someone who was in sales, and I did straight commission most of my life, and I did advertising sales, and it was, you didn't sell, you didn't make your nut, you didn't pay the mortgage. So lots of opportunities for what we call saboteurs. And so I've done so many different programs in my life. I mean, sales programs and mindset and all that, which are all beautiful. But here's the thing: no matter what I did, underneath, if you dug down a little deeper, I'd always be going, yeah, sure, that works for them, doesn't work for me. I never had a fighting chance, and I don't know if anyone can relate to this. I
Mhm.
never had a fighting chance to actually be present and really be able to go, let me hear this without any bias, without any preconceived ideas. And that's, I think we're getting there when we start talking about freedom. But I want to be really careful because this isn't one, this to me is my operating system now. It is literally my operating system. And as kind of a segue into talking about freedom, can I share with you how that just, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So the program that I'm talking about, Positive Intelligence, and I just encourage anyone to get up on their website. They have a free assessment tool. Stanford put it together. It's pretty phenomenal. But the point is that this is how it works in my life today. So I was invited to go to a masterclass with our fabulous Brenda Reese, who is the forgiveness extraordinaire. And I really wanted to go. And I woke up Saturday morning late. It started at 8:30 on Zoom. I got up at 8:33. No coffee, no time to do my practice, which settles my mind down so I can be present, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get into the Zoom room, and all I'm doing is going, oh, I don't like this process. This is this amazing, amazing masterclass. And I'm like, this sucks. I wonder if I could get off, if I sneak off, would anybody notice? I mean, oh, it was bad. I know. Oh yeah. But who can't relate to that? It's like we get hijacked, and I got hijacked. And I've been doing this work for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, a year and a half. And I, because of this program, I was able to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know that voice. That is the voice of my judge, right? And there's all these terms, and you can look it up on Positive Intelligence, but we pretty much know it's your loud inner critic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to call it out. And this is what I want to share. Because of the work I've done, and this is, there's white papers about this stuff. I like to keep it very simplified. The self-command muscle in my brain has been, I've exercised it enough, and I've strengthened it enough that I was able to go, enough. And in that moment, I was able to do a brain hack. We call it a brain hack in Positive Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And right there at that self-command moment, I had the choice. Do I want to stay and be fully present? Or do I want to just get off the call? I got to choose. And when I say that, the freedom that comes with that, like I'm not a victim of my feelings. It is like, and I stayed on that call and I had epiphanies. I think it was the most powerful workshop I've ever done because it was so clear that my practice is my operating system that allows me to be present for the Brendas of the world, although there's no one that can compare with Brenda, but you know what I mean? All the other things that I've done in my life, because I never had a really fighting chance because it was like, it's so exhausting, whether you're doing sales or whether you're attending something to help you get better because you're bad or wrong, whatever it is. It's so hard to be like fully like, wow, what's this about without any chatter.
So, Sandy, I'm so glad you said that because I would love to hear if there's any women out there. When you're on a call with somebody who is a potential client, it's like, are you in your head or are you out here being fully present? And the word that you use a lot is curiosity. But you can't really be curious if you're just worrying about, oh, this is my program, this is what I can offer them, blah, 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 blah. Because we're used to talking at people. What I have learned from you is like it all settles and you come from this beautiful space and then you're curious about them. And I think that's that freedom that you experience. And it does take practice.
Oh, it does. And the thing is that, and I'm like, whether you work with me or work with someone else, this to me, and yeah, I drink the Kool-Aid, but also I've had the privilege of working with 40, 50 women and watching the ones that step into it. It's 15 minutes a day. We're not talking like, I mean, it's spread out 15. The whole program was designed for busy CEOs. So this program is designed to meet you where you're at. But 15 minutes a day, and I get to sit in the front seat and watch people like start developing that ability to be curious. So can I explain what I mean by curiosity?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So curiosity is so fascinating because so many of us, human nature, our brains are always kind of keeping us, we have preconceived ideas. And I always, Shazad Shamin, the author of Positive Intelligence or the creator of it, he constantly talks about anthropologists. And I started researching anthropologists. They are trained how to think, just like lawyers are, just like doctors are,
Mm.
but they're trained in such a way that they go in without any bias. So, for example, if they're going to study bread making in, Zimbabwe, in a little village, tribal village out in the, the boondocks, and they go there with the preconceived idea that you need yeast to make bread because that's how my grandma used to make bread, and everybody, because we all do it, right? That's just that's just our natural bias. And they're trained to go and say, oh, I mean, this is where it blows me away. They're trained to go in and go, well, isn't this interesting? Tell me more. And that's why villagers open up to them. And that's why they're welcomed in. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Those guys, they're a little pithat, but it's fascinating. And I thought, well, how do you get there, especially in sales? Because I was very successful, but I worked really hard. There was no ease. There was no
Mm.
control. And so in that place of curiosity of, it's almost like I want to say as a footnote, if you're not, if you're not into what we're talking about here, go study up on anthropologists and find out the information that they get because they are 100% curious about it. Now, if you translate that to sales, right? And a sales process that's full of integrity, that is true to who you are, that are your words and your style and your personality, but you're able to come from that place of, that place where every so often, like, you'll say something, you'll go, ooh, where'd that come from? Or you'll like experience something where you're fully 100% present. It's like, oh, I love that. How do I make that happen again? And that's where this program has taught me the choice to be able to choose to do that, which I never, ever thought was possible. I was a victim of my own feelings. It was like, whatever my feelings told me must be true. And I'm a pretty evolved gal, man. I've been doing this work for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level when you get into the neurological, the cognitive aspect of it, and you get through all that stuff. And when you tap into what we call sage, which is just this other part of our brain, when you tap into that, it's kind of like coming home. I mean, and I can do it anytime, just like you can, right? Anytime during the day, and just get still and quiet. And it's different than meditation. I want to be really clear. Positive intelligence, when we talk about the practice, is very different than meditation. Meditation is amazing. I've done insight meditation, Vipassana. It's a mindfulness practice, but it's a mindfulness practice. What ours is actually we're bypassing our brain. It's all about sensation. It's paying attention to your body because we can't think our way into that love and generosity because we have what are called saboteurs, which every human on this planet has them. You can call it your parts work. You can call it your shadow self. I've known all that for years. I've done work in those arenas, but I never had a choice. I had like ahas, but on a daily basis to have a choice, like doing this little bit of practice and then choosing. I mean, consciously choose. It's like, who knew? It would
Yeah.
have been so much easier for me in sales. I worked so hard. So anyway, I hope that was a question answered somewhere in there.
Yeah. So several different things that you've talked about. You have mentioned possibility, opportunity, curiosity, freedom, and it's this path to have the freedom of choice. Okay, girls, who out there would like to have the freedom of choice of how you want to experience? Because we're going to be talking a lot about experience that sales experience. What do you want them to feel?
Yeah.
And with what I have noticed as I am learning this process, and so I caught myself, Sandy, just last night. I started looping. Restlessness is one of my saboteurs. I get really anxious. I get restless. I do have anxiety that I have to deal with, which is a chemical thing. But you've got to deal with all these things. But I looked at my hand, and what I picture for me, one of my things that just be doing a PQ or whatever. But one of the things that helps me once I get into that kind of sage space, so I can talk to my saboteur and have that conversation. And I picture this little troll, because I had trolls when I was growing up.
Oh, I love trolls.
Little trolls with the purple hair.
Big hair, yeah.
one of my saboteurs has kind of a different color hair. One has purple. And so I was able to go, I got to that space, did a PQ,
Which means you do the practice. So
I
people
do
need
the
it.
practice, yes. And so, but I was able to put it there and talk to it. And I set it over to the side. And I picture myself as a surgeon, like separating myself from that piece over there. And then I can talk to it because I'm not connected to it. I'm
You're not
looking
being
at it like I'm
hijacked.
looking at a movie, but I couldn't get there, and I couldn't have that self command to be able to do that if I hadn't worked with you.
And I really, oh, that's such a great story. I really appreciate hearing that too, because we've all, people that do the practice. And I want to be clear for people that are listening, and just I want to go through some terminology,
Yeah.
because it's like sometimes it gets really confusing. It's like, what's a PQ? What's a SAGE thing? So the way it's explained is that every single person on this planet has certain survival skills. We all have a judge because we're born with that. That's why little babies that are born out in the wild, they'll cry when if they hear a lion or tiger, they'll cry. They can be days old. They sense that. We're born with that. Oh yeah, that's our survival. That's in our DNA. Very useful when we're younger, but not so great. I mean, it's not like we'll ever get rid of our judge, but our judge grows along with us. We call it our judge, right? It grows right along with us, and it gets a little bit more sophisticated. And when we're younger, we develop all sorts of coping mechanisms, so we didn't have to hear that internal, like, God, are you stupid? Are you, they're going to think I'm dumb. They're going to all that stuff that's said there. So we actually develop different ways of coping, which was really helpful. Sometimes it was pleasing people. Like if I'm really good, sometimes it's control. It's like, if I can just stay here, I'm 8 years old and I got this, right? I don't need anybody. Or if somebody is an avoider, it's like, I just want to go to my happy place. I don't want to mess with this right now. All those things, hyper rational, hyper achiever, I mean, victim. I mean, we have elements of all those. So when we talk about saboteur, what the assessment we talk about is what shows up, not you. It's not a personality test. What shows up the strongest when you're triggered?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we look at. And it's not about getting rid of or judging it. It's just like, that's the reality. Whether you live in Zimbabwe, whether you live there, Antarctic, doesn't matter. Whether you're in tribes, and don't even speak language, that's the way our brains work. Yeah. And we know that today. And so I want to be really clear. When we talk about PQ, like IQ is your intellectual quota, PQ means your positive quota. So when we do PQs, it means we're building up, just like you build up things for your intellect, we're building up things so that we have the capacity to choose, a positive rather than negative mindset when we're dealing with the challenges of the world. And so there's no magic dust. This is literally, again, whether you work with me or work with someone else, this is like an opportunity for a group of women to get together and have a common goal of like, I just want a little freedom. That's usually if people come to me. They come, it's like, yeah, we'll talk about cells, but I can't even talk about cells until I have a little freedom, because it's too brutal if I put myself out there. And if I make a mistake, I get brutalized. So why even try? Or I'm afraid I'm going to look stupid. So why even try? I have worked with people that are brilliant, that have the most amazing product or service, but they don't tell anybody about it. Or they'll say something like, I'm a coach. And it's like, no. You're this blah, 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 And there's nothing wrong. I want to be really clear. This is so normal. We just now have cutting edge technology. And anybody that's been reading about cognitive behavior and, and the sciences will know that the advances in what we know to be true, all positive intelligence has done is taken like positive psychology and behavioral, psychology and all these sciences, like 6 different disciplines, and came up with a program, and it was designed for busy CEOs. And that's what Trezad did all around the world. That's why his book's translated in 20 languages. So he started working with all these CEOs, and then it started, people were getting relief, and he created the 6-week program, because that's how long it takes every day. Because what happens is you become so fascinated by yourself. Isn't that true? It's like, I didn't know that you start like stepping into new levels, and you have support while you do it. So I just want to be really clear when we talk about the sage, what it really means, and I wish I had the medical term, is a part of our, it's a part of our brain. It's not the prefrontal cortex. I'm trying to remember. There's a special part of our brain that's, I don't know if it's newer, but it's certainly a part of our brain that doesn't get very much exercise because most of us can't access
Yeah.
it because we get hijacked. So how can you access that innovation and that, empathy for yourself and that all that amazing juicy stuff? Maybe every so often you get a crack and you can kind of sneak through, but how do you exercise that part? How do you access that when you're getting brutalized by doubts and fears and their lies, but they feel so true? And it's like, I've worked with people that go, well, that's just who I am. And I'm like, really? Is that really who you are? Because it feels like it, right? It's like, no, no. They put like a badge. It's like, no, no, I'm an avoider. It's like, well, are you? Everybody's got that. It just means that's what's really activated when you get triggered or when you get fear. Because sage is about love and saboteurs are about fear. So that's where the choice comes in.
Oh, and Sandy, I think one of the pieces that I'd really like the ladies to hear is that freedom of choice.
Oh,
I am so big into that. I love freedom of choice. I love having the tools and the people who can help me walk that road of freedom of choice and to learn to make, what are the best choices for my business and how to create abundance out of that. And that's what I'm hearing you talk about is that opportunity and that possibility for that freedom of choice is just
oh.
beautiful.
And there's an ease to it. Like I said, I worked so hard. I mean, I was like a number one salesperson in the country for a couple of different big companies. And I wish, it's funny. I think about that. They actually, at one job, I remember hearing my manager, the director, say, oh, put Sandy on that. She's a machine. And I was horrified, because I had connections with, I mean, I'm a friendly person, but it was true. It was like I had to get her done. And so I was very professional. I did a good job. I mean, I was really good at what I did, which is why I was successful. But I worked. There was no ease in it. That's what I've been thinking about for the last year and a half. I thought, God, could you imagine if I had done that with ease? Like if I'd had this tool, oh my God, if I'd had this tool to be able to develop these different muscles so that there's no judgment. It's just like we all have it. It's not like, oh my God, nobody, don't tell anyone I'm an avoider. It's like, or my saboteur is an avoider. It's like we all have it at some level. We have every one of those 9, it's just the way our brains work. But just to be able to go, and with some ease go, I'm not going to avoid that. Thank you for your, thanks for the information. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to do my hack, my brain hack to get me into, the self-command. And then I'm going to choose to be curious about it instead of dreading. I'm going to be curious about my bills. I'm going to be curious about the day, the week and a half, or the 2 weeks worth of receipts I need to get in for taxes. What would that be like? I wouldn't spend hours dreading it.
Yeah. So this goes beyond sales. I mean, just the abundance that you could do for your business if you had ease in the sales, ease in those other areas. Maybe it's taxes or, some of the details or whatever. So you could really spend the bulk of your time in that space where your brilliance shines.
You can, and you'll fall off and you'll get hijacked. It's just it's part of being human. But the difference is with this practice is you come back home sooner and you keep coming back home, because the way Shazad describes it, which I love, is you're being sabotaged when your body goes, when you get a physical reaction. It's like putting your hand on the stove, right? It's like you put your hand on the stove and you go, ooh, hot. That's what we get trained to do. You don't keep your hand on the stove and go, wow, that's burnt. Wow, who knew skin could sizzle? I mean, that's not what we do. And I want to be really clear. I started this program personally. I was going to do it for my clients. About 2 weeks into it, I went, screw my clients. I mean, I love them. This is for me. It's affected my marriage. It has affected my friendship. Right now I'm going through some serious medical stuff. I mean, I've had cancer. And the way I've walked through this and the way I continue to walk through this, I'm not in denial. There's not a happy face. When I'm crying, I cry. When I'm feeling, I'm feeling. But what positive intelligence has given me is, who do I want to hold those feelings? Go like this so you can see. Who do I want to hold those feelings? Do I want that mean judge who'll just brutalize me? It's like your underbelly. It's just like, oh man, you're never, blah, 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 all that stuff. Or do I want that part of me that's full of love that goes, baby, we got this. Go ahead and have a cry. I'm right here with you. And for some people, that's what faith is. And for some people, that's what, say, it doesn't matter what you call it, but I'm, I'm, I'm blown away, as are my sisters, my husband, they're blown away by how I'm stepping into this. And it's a direct result of making choices.
I love it. And I think as we close out, that is beautiful.
There you go.
We haven't.
I was going to say really quick. I'm so sorry. Sales. So where I was going with that, and clearly I'm very passionate about what I do and what I've experienced and my clients have. But this is so much more about, sales is great. Don't get me wrong, but this is so much bigger than that. This is my baseline. Yeah. I decided at some point this was my baseline. So it's affected every area of my life, my health, everything. So I just want to be clear, like, it doesn't have to be, but one really amazing benefit is sales. And when I'm a sales trainer, to be able to work with people that go, oh, tell me more, because we've all done our little PQs and we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. So is there one little piece of wisdom you would like to leave the ladies with?
Yeah.
Or thought or.
Yeah. Do we have time for one of these?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So whoever's watching this right now, what I want you to do is whoops, I can't see, I'm backwards here. I want you to touch your thumb and your forefinger. Okay. And now I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to gently, gently rub those two fingers together with such attention that you can feel the ridges of your skin. Focus 100% on this. And so I ask the audience, or whoever's listening to this, if you feel a moment of calmness, it's because you quieted down your chatter. You quieted down your saboteurs. You can do this anytime. I do it sometimes when I'm on Zoom calls. So if you're sitting in a line, Christmas line that's around the corner, just take a moment. Nobody will even see it. You can do it with your eyes downcast, but take a moment and do that, and notice how your blood pressure releases, how everything softens up. That's probably the greatest gift I can give anybody, because that's what was given me. That's how I got turned on to this, is that one little exercise, because I thought, wow, if I can do that for a moment, what else could happen? So,
yeah, that peace and that freedom of choice. I love it, Sandy. Thank you. And what a great way to walk into the new year. So thank you for joining us today at our Fave Biz Girl chats. And ladies, if you would like to connect with Sandy, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
My email is Sandy. This is going to be fun. Sandy at Limb Dweller, just like it sounds, LIMB Dweller, DWELLER.com. So Sandy at limbdweller.com. And I can send you a link for the assessment, and it's fascinating.
Yes. So
and then do your assessment, and then follow up with me, and we'll talk about the lies those saboteurs tell you. We'll work it. Yeah.
You can get curious about it.
There you go.
Well, we'll be fascinated. I love that word, fascinated. All right, ladies, great chatting with you today, and we will see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.